This is English for grade 6. Hello, dear students. How have you been? How was your week? I'm sure you had a great time, right? Are you ready to learn a new thing today? Wonderful. Let us revise what we have seen last week. Do you remember our topic from last week? Yes, we were talking about nouns. Good. We were talking about nouns. And what do we say are nouns? Yeah, from parts of speech, nouns are names. Good. Nouns are names. When we say nouns are names, it can be what? Names of people. Like, for example, me, your teacher, my name is Miss Sennight, that's a noun. And you over there, what's your name? Good, that is also what? A noun, yes? What else? Names of animals, right? Animals. And when we say names, names of what? Places. Places. Good. What else? Names of activities. Activities. Yeah? This is what we call what? A noun, right? And we try to classify nouns into different classifications based on their function, right? Do you remember some of them? Yeah, we said what? The countable and uncountable nouns. Good. Countable and countable and uncountable. Right? And then we try to see some names under these categories. Yes? We also say what? The proper noun, proper noun. Yes? And common noun, yes? What else? We also say or talk about the abstract, yes, abstract and concrete noun. Good. Abstract and concrete nouns. Yes? Especially when we talk about these abstract and concrete nouns, what did we say? We say that abstract nouns are the names that we give for some things that we do not see, yes, but we can simply feel them. For example, love. Can you see love with your naked eyes? You don't see it, yes? Yeah, but the affection or the passion that you have with people is called what? It is love. The same is true with the opposite, which is hate, right? So these are what some of the classifications that we tried to see last week, yes? And today I have come with a new topic. Actually, it's not totally new because last time we have seen about conditional sentence type 1, which I told you to remember it by saying the possibility condition. Yes? You remember about possibility condition. So today we're going to continue to the other part of conditionals, which is the imaginary condition. Yes? Imaginary. I want you to remember this word. Look, normally we call it conditional sentence type 2. Yeah? This is what we call it, conditional sentence type 2. But I also want you to remember these words. 1, imaginary. Imaginary. All right? And 2, unlikely. Unlikely. All right? It is what? It is imaginary. It is unlikely. Not only that. Yes? Not only that. Based on the probability, it is what? Improbable. Improbable. All right? This is the conditional sentence that we're going to talk about today. Are you ready? Perfect. Now let's go. When we talk about conditional sentence, we said that conditional sentence has got how many clauses? Yes? Yeah, 2 clauses. What are they? If you say if clause and main clause, you're correct. We have two clauses. These are the if clause, the if part, if clause, yeah? And then there comes the other clause, which stands by itself. It is called what? The main clause. Main clause. Okay? If you remember from the last lesson of conditional sentence type 1, we said about the if clause, all right? The if part is what? Setting the condition. Since we said what? Conditional sentence, that means there is a condition which can change the result. So, the if part of the sentence is what? It is the condition. The condition that we said is here. Here is the condition. All right? Then, what else? In the main clause, yeah, when you set a condition here in the if part, then we expect what? A result. And that result is found here. This is the result. Okay? Yes? Just to remind you from the previous lesson, which is conditional sentence type 1, if you remember, instead of saying type 1, type 2, it's better for you to remember the word possibility condition because it helps you to identify what type of condition and what type of result that you are discussing. All right? When we say the possibility condition, we said that the possibility to happen is 50-50, right? Yes? For example, if somebody says, look, I'm now talking about conditional sentence type 1, okay? When somebody says, if I work hard, now look at this. This is the condition that we set. What do we say? If I work hard. What type of sentence do we have here? Let's see. I is our subject plus, when you say work, yes, work is what? Verb 1, right? Which means subject plus verb 1, that is what? Simple present. Okay, so when you find a present condition, then you expect something in the future, right? So we don't hold the future. We are not sure what will happen in the future. So we set it what? There is a possibility for the result to happen. What is that? For example, one of the possibilities. If I work hard, okay, if you are a student, you might say what? I will pass. I will pass, yeah? I will pass the exam. This is one possibility, right? Okay, what else? When somebody, for example, when your father or when your mother, if they are talking about their business or their work, and if they say, if I work hard, what else could happen for them? You might say, or they might say, I will earn, yeah, a lot of money. A lot of money. You see? Now, to earn a lot of money or to earn much money, there is some condition which is expected. What is that? You need to work hard. When? At present. The result? After present, which is what? Future, right? This is all about the conditional sentence type 1. But let's come to our today's conditional, which is the imaginary condition. The one that you put in your mind. Okay? Let me give you some sentences first, and then we will come up with okay, let me give you some sentences here, and then we come up with the tense. All right? Okay, look at this. If I were rich, then, comma, I would buy I would buy you a car. Look, you see this? If I were rich, I would buy you a car. Okay, nice. If I were rich. Give attention to the grammar that we are talking about here, all right? Okay, let me give you somewhere, okay? If they knew the answer, comma, they might tell us. Okay, now let's come up to the form. As usual, just like what we have seen in the conditional sentence type 1, here we also have the two clauses, right? The if clause and the main clause, right? Okay, let's see the if clause. What kind of structure are we having in the if clause? Let's start by the second one. If they knew the answer, obviously here is if, okay? Okay, now we're coming to the form. Then in the if clause, we begin by if, but as I told you last time, it's not only if, there is also what? When, yeah? Or if you are talking about some consequence, which shows something negative, you can also say unless, but let us see with this. There is if or when, then what else do we have? Look, they are subject, right? Wonderful. Then, what kind of verb are we having here? Knew. Knew is what? Verb 2. Subject plus verb 2. What is the tense? Yeah, it is simple past. Simple past. Okay, look, subject plus verb 2, then simple past. Let's go to the main clause, all right? In the main clause, we have they, all right? Then might, okay? And tell us, verb 1. Okay, the first one. If I were rich, look at this. I were. How come do we say were with I? Is it possible to say I were? In simple past, the subject I. Do you think it uses was or were? Normally it uses what? Was. But in the case of conditional sentence type 2, which is imaginary or unreal, all right? Here, this thing is not fact. It is imaginary, or it is unlikely to happen, right? For example, I am a woman, all right? I am a girl. Is it possible for me to be a man? No, it's not. So, I can simply what? I can simply imagine what I do if I were a man. So instead of saying, of course you can say if I was a man, but you can also say what? If I were a man, to show it how far unlikely it is, or how far imaginary it is, okay? But as I told you, it's possible to say if I was, if she was, if he was, or if I were, if he were, if she were. So we can use were, the plural verb to be, in the case of conditional sentence type 2, to show how far imaginary your sentence is, all right? So in this case, if plus when, if or when plus simple past. Simple past. This is what? The if clause. Let's go to the main clause. Then, comma, then our main clause, what do we have here? I would buy you a car, or they might tell us. So, the main clause comes with subject, then plus the conditionals would, all right, should, could, or might. Okay? These are the auxiliary verbs that we use. And then what kind of main verb do we have? After would, as you can see here, there is by. And after might, here is tell, which is a base verb, or what we call verb 1. This is the form of conditional sentence type 2, or the imaginary or unlikely condition. Can you tell the form now? Oh, maybe not yet. Let us do some examples and then you will come up to it. All right, let me write the form first here. Conditional sentence type 2, or as I told you, imaginary condition. Imaginary condition. All right. Then, as I told you, our form, it is what? If, or, when, then subject plus verb 2. The main verb, subject plus would, should, could, or might, plus the base verb or verb 1. Okay, let us see now some examples in this form, all right? Follow me. Example. Let somebody say, this is common. Even when I was a student, I remember conditional sentence type 2 by this example. If I were a bird. Yeah? If I were a bird. Yes, if I were a bird. What would I do? Obviously, yes, I would fly. Good. I would fly. That's why I want you to remember the name imaginary instead of saying type 2. Because any one of us cannot be a bird. Yes? We're human beings. Right? Yeah, so if I were a bird, I would fly. You know that you are students. Yes? Everything you get is what? From your families. But let's assume that if I were rich, what would you do to your parents? If I were rich, or let's say, how could you be rich? Maybe you might won a lottery, yeah? Let's say like that. If I won a lottery, yeah? If I won a lottery, what would you buy to your parents? Let's say, since I am a mother, let's talk about mothers. If you won a lottery, what would you buy to mom? Yes? Oh, somebody said a big house. Good. That's better. You say what? If I won a lottery, yeah, I could buy a big house. A big house to my mom. Right? Yes. If I won a lottery, I could buy a big house to my mother or to mom, right? What else? Let's talk, or let's imagine something. Let's put something good in our mind. Yeah? Okay, let's say that if I were a doctor now. If I were a doctor, yeah? If I were a doctor, maybe now at this time you are watching somebody who is sick or suffering with some illness. And then there are times that you say, oh, if I were a doctor, I would do this and that, right? That's what I'm talking about. We are now what? Imagining. Yes? Okay. So if I were a doctor, what would you say? Let's say, for example, I could, or I might help people or instead of people, let's make it realistic. I might help needy people, yeah, needy people for free. Needy people means people that need your help, okay, or what we call poor, okay. This is how we say, if I were a doctor, this time, of course you will be a doctor. There is a possibility for you to be a doctor if you work hard, right? But you just imagine, this time, right now, at this moment, yeah, if I were a doctor, then what would you do? I might serve, or I might help, yes, needy people or the poor people for free. Yes? Good. Okay, but is this the only way of writing this conditional sentence? Like, do we always need to begin by saying if? No. As we have seen last time with the first conditional, you can also begin your sentence by, yes, you can start by the main sentence. For example, look, she would give you some money, yeah? She would give you some money. Now, my sentence begins with the main clause, so I don't need to put any comma, all right? Just simply go to the if part. She would give you some money if you, yeah, asked. Don't say asked, okay? Just say asked, all right? If you asked her, you see? She would give you some money if you asked her. You see? How do? We begin with the main clause, then we don't need comma. We have our own what? Here, the if word, the if part. So, if you asked her. That means you can start in either way. Either with the if clause or with the main clause. Am I clear now? Are you ready now to tell or to fill a sentence with conditional sentence type 2? Because that is the first objective. The first one is you identify the form of conditional sentence. And the second, you write sentences in the conditional sentence type 2. So let us do that, okay? Activity 1. Activity 1. Complete the following sentences. Complete the following sentences using the correct form of the verb. The verb in bracket. Okay? Okay. The first one. If she called you, comma, you blank answer to her. This is one. Number two, they might visit us if they blank, listen is the verb, if they listen our situation. And one more. One more. If I blank, then be, yeah? If I blank you, then I could study hard. Here we go. Here we have 3 sentences which I want you to practice only on one of the clauses, all right? On the next one, after we practice more, we can do both of the clauses, right? Okay, so for the first one, if she called you, now the if clause is completed. How is it completed? If she called, verb 2, which is simple past. So what do you think would be the main clause? The second one, they might visit us. They might visit us. Okay, so the main clause is completed here. If they blank, the if clause is open. What would you do? The third one, if I be you, okay, I could study hard. Here we have got 3 sentences and I give you 2 solid minutes. All right, so 2 minutes is over. I'm sure you have done your answers. But please try to show your answers to people around you, okay? Let's do it with me. If she called you, which is simple past, then what do you say? You blank answer to her. You said what? You would or you could. Very good. Or you should. Yeah? Let's use should this time. You should, yes, answer. You should answer. There is no change with the verb. All right. Let's come here. They might visit us if they blank. Then our verb is listen or situation. So what do you say? They might visit us if they, since now this time it is the main clause which is complete, we are expected to complete the if clause. Yes? Okay, so how do you do? Simple past, which means the V2 form of listen. What is that? Listened. Okay. Let's see here. If I be you, yes? If I be you, what do you say? Do you say been? No. This time, be is representing what? The verb to be. So what verb to be do we use? As I told you earlier, we say what? Was or were, right? So, if I were you, I could study hard, but I'm not you, right? Okay, so this is our first task, which is what? Completing a sentence which is half complete and the other half incomplete. Yes? Remember, our form here in the imaginary condition is if clause with simple past and main clause with the conditional tense, which is would, should, could. And also we might show the slight possibility by saying what? Might plus the main verb. Okay? Are we okay so far? All right. Let us do another task which shows both of the conditionals. Now this time we're going to compare conditional type 1 with conditional type 2. I want you to know how to differentiate which conditional a sentence is, okay? Good. Activity 2. Activity 2. Okay, again this time, use the correct form of the verb, the correct form of the verb, and complete the sentences. The sentences below. Okay. The first one. All right. If she knows the truth, comma, she blank angry. Okay. Number two. They would tell us if they blank, the verb is know, again, the truth. Then another one, the third, unless you work hard, comma, you blank not pass the exam. One more. If we were invited, comma, we blank come to the party. Okay, so as I told you, here we have got 4 sentences, but please give attention. This time it's not only about the imaginary condition, okay? There is also the possibility condition, all right? How do you identify it? I will see it, you try it, and then we do it together. 4 sentences and 3 minutes. Okay, time is up. I'm sure you easily identified the possibility condition and the imaginary or the improbable condition, right? Let's see the first one. If she knows the truth, she become angry. Which one is complete? Before you answer, before you go to the incomplete sentence, you need to identify which one is complete, one, and how is it completed, two. Okay? So, in every conditional, we have what? If clause and main clause. This time, which one is complete here? Yes, it is the if clause. If clause is complete. Now we know that we are requested to fill for the main clause. All right. The second question, how is it complete? I mean, in what tense? Let's see. If, all right, then she, subject, yes, knows, verb 1. So, if clause is completed with simple present. When do we have simple present in a conditional sentence? When? Is it on the possibility condition or on the improbable or imaginary condition? If you say possibility condition, you're correct. So that means the first sentence is about conditional sentence type 1. So in type 1, what is the tense of main clause? Good. It is simple future. So, look, if she knows the truth, then what do you do here? Very good. She will become. She will become. Yes, she will become angry. You see? If she knows the truth, she will become angry. Conditional sentence type 1. Good. Let's see the second one. They would tell us. This time, it is the main clause which is completed. Yes? How? They would. Here is the conditional. Would plus verb 1. Okay, what type of conditional is it? Very good. It is conditional sentence type 2. Okay, in type 2, what kind of if clause do we have? I mean, what is our if clause? It is simple past. So we use the past form of the verb, which is if they knew. If they knew the truth. Okay, the third one. Unless you work hard, unless you work hard. Subject plus verb 1. Okay, unless you work hard, you blank not pass the exam. Yes, this is what? Subject plus verb 1. If clause with simple present, then main clause with? Very good, simple future. So what do we say? You blank not pass. You can say you cannot, or you can't pass. Or if you say you won't is the short form of what? Will not, all right? You won't pass the exam. The last but not least, if we were invited, that means these people are not invited, yes? But what are they saying? If we were invited, we, then past auxiliary were, which means simple past here. So what is the main clause? Very good. Then what do you say? We could come. Or we might come. Or we should come and we would come. These are some of the possible answers. So how was it? He said good. Perfect. So this is all about the conditional sentence. So far we have seen 2 conditionals, right? In general, which means conditional sentence type 1, which is possibility condition. And today we have seen conditional sentence type 2, which is the imaginary or improbable condition. Yes? So we try to compare their differences. The only similarities are both are what? Having a condition and a result, right? But the idea is totally opposite. In the possibility condition, there is a chance for the result to happen. But in the improbable condition, yes, it is all about your imagination, right? Okay, so let me give you a homework. Try this exercise and also try to do the written exercises in your textbook and develop your grammar skills, okay? Let's do it with the homework. Homework. Use the correct form. The correct form of the verb and complete the sentences below. All right. Okay. The first one, if she blank be a police, comma, she would arrest the rapist. The rapists. 2. We could work together if we blank learn in the same school. Number 3. When you see the girl, blank you blank contact her. The fourth one, we will visit you if we blank know the place. Here we go. So we have got 4 sentences, as we have done earlier here with me. In these 4 sentences, we have 2, the first conditional, which is possibility condition, and another 2 with what we have learned today, which is imaginary condition. All right? Give attention to which clause that is complete, and then how is it completed. That would be easier to do the rest. Okay? So this is all what I have for today, which is conditional sentence type 2. If clause, simple past, and main clause, the conditional tense, which is subject plus, would, should, could, or might with verb 1. I will see you next week with another lesson. Until then, have a good one.
This is really, really hard. I hate this. I just